This week, we are going to go through chapter 4, which deals with entity framework. And so you're going to be going through that chapter, and the lecture demo is going to explain that chapter information to you. And there will be hands-on exercises that you will be completing as you are working through the information in the chapter. One of the most important things to note is that the version of entity framework that you are using has to match the version of .NET that you are using. So if you are using .NET 6, then you've got to use entity framework version 6, and you can use the most recent version 6, but the versions have to be the same. You will learn more about the DB context class and the purpose of that class, all the different things that it does. You will learn how to add a context class. You will also learn the conventions in entity framework, and conventions are simply defaults. So there's a lot of assumptions that entity framework makes based on how you name your fields in your model classes. You will also learn how to add seed data, and there's a lot of different techniques for adding seed data, so this is just going to be one of them. You will learn how to create a connection string, which is basically how you tell entity framework where to put the database and the tables once you have done migrations and you run that update database command. You will learn how to make changes to your program CS file, because there are some changes you will have to make when you are connecting to a database. And there will be hands-on activities for you to practice all of this. So this is going to be your first exposure to entity framework. Entity framework is vast, so there's a lot more to it than what we are going to be able to cover this week. We are going to take a deeper dive later in the semester, and at that point, you will be learning pretty much everything about entity framework. We will be taking a look at link queries. We covered those in the 195 class, and link is a language that C# uses to interact with the database. And so under chapter resources, I did link out to the CIT195 information on link queries. You may want to kind of review this, because you definitely, if you look in the controllers that we're going to be generating, you will definitely see link queries in those controllers. So you may want to take a quick peek at the review. And I also included a little link here to entity framework documentation. Now, this is from entity framework itself. So for those of you that wanted to learn a little bit more about entity framework now, you can look through here. Once you are done, you are going to have a couple different projects that you are going to add to GitHub and put the repository links in this Dropbox. So there's a lot of different tasks that you're going to be asked to do with the movie list app. You're going to have a starter app, and there's a lot you need to add to it. So this is what I'm looking for. and then to your own app. So this is going to be a hands-on that you are doing on your own. Okay, and so for your own app that you're going to create, these are the different things that I am going to be looking for. And the directions for that are near the end. So you basically are going to work with that movie exercise first, kind of learn how to do everything for that exercise. And then you're going to be creating your own. And I have an example of one that I did, and there's a video that you can take a look at. But basically, these are the steps that you're going to need to complete. If this is something that you may want to use for a term project, then if you're going to create a new app for this, it is very important that you add authentication. So if you're creating a brand new app for this, what you are going to need to do, and I don't care what you guys call it, where it says authentication type, you need to put in individual accounts because you can't add that after the fact. So you need to add it, when you are creating the project. That puts something that's referred to as Microsoft Identity into your project. And if you do that, you are already going to have migrations and a context file for the login component. Okay, so when I run this, in fact, I haven't added anything of my own yet, but because there's migrations, I actually am going to have to do an update database to create it. So what you're seeing is the code first from the identity portion of this project. And if I run this, that identity portion is allowing us to register and log in. And like I said, you can't add that after the facts, and your final projects are going to need those components. So if this project is one you may want to use as a basis for your final project, make sure you add that in there. Okay, so at the very bottom is a summary of what you need. This matches the summary that is on the Dropbox. If you guys run into problems, you do need to push your projects up to GitHub so that I can look at them. If you send me screenshots, it's hard for me to help you. All I can do is look at it and tell you what the most common cause of the problem is, but that might not be what's causing your problem. These projects are wired pretty tight, and it does not take much to break a project. One thing I did notice a couple people doing is renaming files that were in the project. And you definitely don't want to do that because things are wired really tight. If you start, going in and, finding the project and you start renaming things out here, that is a huge problem. Your project is probably not going to work. Right? So don't rename anything out here. Okay. You might just have to live with the name that you gave it because if you start renaming it, you are literally breaking things that are in your project. So don't do that. And that's a very common mistake that people make. So anyway, if you do run into a problem that you cannot figure out, put the project on GitHub and I will take a look at it. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week and let me know if you have any questions.